Have the children come up and we'll do a reading from the children's Bible. All come up here. All right, here we go. The Israelites traveled for many days. They were tired and hungry. They complained to Moses, "There's nothing to eat in the desert. At least we had food in Egypt. Now we're starving." God heard them. That evening God sent birds and called quail for the Israelites to eat. The next morning God sent bread from heaven. It was called manna and it tasted like honey. The Israelites found the manna on the ground, but they complained again. "We're thirsty." Moses asked God what to do. God said, "Hit the rock with your staff." When Moses hit it, cool, fresh water gushed out for everyone to drink. While they were in the desert, the Israelites would not feel hungry or thirsty ever again. Little kids can head across the hills in their shoes. They're all staying.
Everybody else stay. We have one thing.
Yeah, what would you like to say?
Meow.
Yeah.
Really, dude?
All right. So we're gonna sort of act out. So if you're interested in walking around, then you can stay up here with me. If you want to sit in your seats, that's fine. You guys have some parts too, but nothing too crazy. So I'm gonna start walking around and imagining the story that we just heard. Right? So it's up to you where you want to be. You can imagine the Egyptians have just escaped. The Israelites have just escaped the Egyptians. So if you can see, there's this blue line that's going through our worship space, and so that's kind of, we're imagining that that's the river that they had to cross, right? And so they crossed over, and now they're like free. They're not in Egypt anymore, right? And so if you can also imagine, right? Everyone look with me, like you're the Israelites, right? And so we're here and we've escaped Egypt, right? Turn to your neighbor and say, "It's going to be okay."
It's going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they're feeling. So, and then what we also need to look is like, we're by a river. If you can imagine, we also had traveled like from the river to what was kind of a coastal region, right? Just like right on the other side of the river. So like, let's pretend that's over here, right? Like, can you see the ocean? Can you imagine, right? Well, that's the river, but like over there, and can you imagine what the breeze felt like, right? Like we're free and we're in the coastal region, and that just feels good, right? I mean, the breeze from the ocean feels really good. Oh wait, and now Moses is trying to talk to us, and so Moses, let's see, right?
We need to leave here and head to the desert. Gather your things. Let's go.
And so all of us, like, we're trying to wonder, like, wait a minute, we kind of like the coast. Like, we're safe, right? Like, why does he want us to gather all of our things and move again? We just moved. We just had this big, scary thing, right? So we're wondering, like, I don't really know, but, Moses, he helped us escape. And so we're going to trust Moses again. And we'll follow him where he wants us to go. So we're going to walk. Can you, like, follow us maybe around? This is what we call the desert region. So I'll follow you. I'll lead us the way. You can walk too. This is Aaron, Moses' brother, right? So we're leaving. We're going to leave the breeze of the ocean. If you guys want to follow, you can. You don't have to, right? And we're going to, it's starting to get hotter, actually, here. Starting to get hotter. And you know what? Under our feet, it's sandy. Have you guys ever walked in sand? Everyone walked in sand? It's hard to walk in sand. And it gets tiring, right? Because you get tired faster with sand, right? So we go like a little slower because it's sandy, right? Can you feel the sun beating down on us? It's getting hot where we are. And we're starting to be tired, right? And we're starting to ask each other, like, I wonder if we can stop and rest, right? And maybe someone is saying, are we there yet? Right? Turn to your neighbor and say, it's hot out here. Turn to another neighbor and say, I need some shade.
I need some shade.
Right? And wait a minute, turn to another neighbor and say, I think I'm hot, I'm thirsty, I want some water. And then your neighbor says to you, wait, I'm hungry, I want some food. Right? We're hungry, you hear us? We're all like, we're hungry and we're thirsty, and everyone's talking on top of each other. And then one person asks Moses, like on behalf of everyone,
why did you lead us into the desert? In Egypt, we had plenty to eat. In Egypt, we had plenty to drink. We had meat, we had bread. Moses, Why did you bring us into the desert? You want us to starve? We could die out here.
Everyone look at your neighbor and have a worried face. These are good things to practice. Worried face, right? And maybe some people even have fear face. Like, oh my goodness, we're in the desert and we need food and drink and we could die. Someone said we might die here. And so then Moses heard everyone and didn't know what to do. And so God said to Moses,
Look, I will cause bread to rain down from heaven for you, and the people will go out and gather a helping of it each day. I will test them to see if they are willing to live by my instructions. On the 6th day they will gather the usual amount, but when they go to prepare it, it will end up being twice what they usually gather.
so Moses and his brother Aaron gathered all of us together again, right? We trust Moses. We're a little tired and thirsty and hungry, but we trust Moses. And so they say to us,
When evening falls, you will know that God has led you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning, your eyes will see God's glory, because God takes your complaints against us as complaints against God. Who are we that you direct your complaints to us? Oh, this will take place when God provides you with meat in the evening and plenty of bread in the morning, because God hears all your grumbling and complaining. Why do you complain to us? Your complaints are not against us, but against God. Tell the entire community, draw near to God. God has heard your complaints. Draw near to God. God has heard your complaints.
now while Aaron was speaking, the entire community, all of us, saw a cloud come around Moses. And we knew that that must mean that God was talking to Moses, right? I wonder what the cloud looked like. Can anyone imagine? I wonder what a cloud around Moses looked like. I wonder if some of the people were scared of the cloud, right? I wonder if some of them were excited about the cloud because they realized, oh, God's here and God's talking to Moses and it's going to be okay. I wonder if some people were kind of skeptical about the cloud. Like, skeptical face is a very fun face to make. Turn to your neighbor and make a skeptical face. Right? Here's the thing, we make that face a couple times a day, all of us. Like, all of us actually have a skeptical face. Right? So some of them might have been skeptical, some of them might have been confused about what was happening. But God said to Moses, don't worry, right? God said that I've heard your complaints, right? And then in the evening, God said, I'm going to send meat. And then you'll have enough bread for your gnawing hunger. And it was true. God heard their complaints. Turn to your neighbor now and smile. God heard our complaints. God heard us. And that evening, let's go over here and see what happens. That evening, in the desert, quail flew over the camp. Okay. Quail started to fly over the camp. And so they had meat to eat. And then look over here. Everyone grab a quail. Grab a quail and come on over here. Grab a quail and come on over here. And then in the morning, there was this bread-like substance. I'm going to show you the picture I have, and then you guys can share later. But like, look at this. This is what it looked like. See how it kind of looks like a walnut? Does that look like a walnut to you? It was like a fungus that sort of looks like a walnut that gathered on the ground every morning, right? And the people looked at it and they said, I've never seen anything like that. Turn to your neighbor and say, I've never seen anything like that. And then they turned to another neighbor and they said, what is it? What is it? Right? Which is the word manna. It means what is it? Right? And so the scriptures say that it tasted like, it looked like coriander seed, and it tasted like honey when they baked it. And so, can you guys help me, Pat? Maybe pass out. You don't have to. Pass them out to everyone else. They made a cracker. So they made manna into crackers, and these are just saltine crackers with honey on them, right? To give us an idea of what it might have tasted like. We'll put them back. We ate the quail. You can eat the, if you have the cracker, you can have it. You can eat it. It's just a saltine with honey, like I said, right? It's coming around. It's coming around. Who doesn't have? Did you guys get it? Oh my goodness. The honey came from Sam. Sam's honey. The crackers came from McCaffrey's.
Got the Bible?
So one of the things we wanted to do with the inclusive service is to try to use as many senses as we could in learning, right? Because everyone learns differently. Did we miss anyone? Honey. Honey is sticky.
There goes Intergenerational.
They got manna.
So here's the thing, they had quail in the evening and they had manna in the morning and they could make this bread, right? So turn to your neighbor and say, look, we each have what we need.
Look, we each have what we need.
Right? So I want us to do a little exercise. You've been talking to your neighbors, and so maybe pick a neighbor or two that you've been talking with. And I'd like us to what you call think, pair, share, right? And so I want you to think about 3 questions. What does enough for today mean to you? What does it mean for you to have enough for today? And then, how do you know when you've had too much of something? Right? How do you know when you've had too much? And why do sometimes we want more than we need? Right? So we're kind of tossing around the idea of what's enough, what's abundance, and what's scarcity, right? How much is enough? How do we know we've had enough or too much? And why do sometimes we want more than we need, right? So take just like 5 minutes, talk to your neighbor about it, however it comes to you. There's no right or wrong. It's just how you want to talk about enough. And the kids can go over, there's 2 tables. You guys, why don't you guys go gather around table? And Chestnut and Pastor Aaron are going to help you talk about it.
In our whole society's like that, even how
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
I think as far as our needs, as far as our state, but because we're always very listening, say I live in a black house, what we need right now, we're just instead of focusing on
And I think that since the state advertising is not expensive. So even really think about plus that really might not use it. But there's that let's see what else there is. Oh yeah. That's such an inducement, such an
I have to spend a lot for that reason. I just kept going back. It was indentured servants and hospitals. You just feel like you had to spend it. You wasting it if you don't spend it.
I got that. And they the calls that I used to work at was, I think this one was, I'm not going to go out of my way. I don't know. I know that there are issues, but I feel that bad that I was need to spend all that. I watched it.
How about the answer to that last question? Anyone brave enough to share? What,
There must be, even though we.
why do we sometimes want more than we need? Anyone, Derek, brave enough to share what you thought about that, or someone from your group? Why do we sometimes want more than we need?
When you said that, I thought of
I just love the cake. So, you know, I love it, and so I want more than I need. Right. So we're afraid we're going to run out of chocolate. I think all of us go to that because we know excess of food. I think that's one of the easy things we know in America, right? But for others, for money, right? Like why do we keep more or not give away as much or our time, right? Because we're afraid tomorrow I'm not going to have time and I'm going to need it for myself, you know? Or that's just human nature to hold on. Oh, and we have to keep up, right? Yep. Yeah, I was reading this week that when you ask Americans, no one says that they are rich. No one. We always think rich is the people who make more than we do. Right? So if we make $30,000, we're not rich because people who make 60 are rich. If we make 60, I'm not rich because people who make 100 are rich. If I make 100, I'm not rich. People who make 200 are rich. That's what everyone said. We never think we're rich because there's always someone who's richer. So that must be rich, right? Yeah. Anyway, why do we use more or take more than we need? Was there anything else that you came up with?
10 cents more, we can get supersized.
For 10 cents more, we can get supersized, right? So this marketing ploy that right? Which is also for me how I find out I ate too much, right? Because because I was at a diner and they gave me enough that was for 3 meals, right? But I was talking and it was tasty and and then I ate so much I'm uncomfortable, you know, right? Yeah, right? Anything else come out in your discussion on why we eat more or take more than we?
Money, I'm smarter, that's why I have more.
We deserve it. Oh, okay. So when I have more, that means I've achieved it. I've made it, right? I've arrived at something, right? Yeah. Our sense of self. And how we define ourselves, right? I think the idea that God provides for us today is what I hear from that text, which is incredibly difficult to live just for today. It's really hard to live just for today, right? And I think that for those of us where we live, we see the concerns around the rest of the world, and I think it's reasonable to look at this text and say, I don't know that God provides, because look at people over there, they're hungry, or there's people without water or whatever. And I want to encourage us that you need to read the text for you. Okay, you can't read the text for a refugee. Only a refugee can read the text for a refugee, right? We can read the text for me. I can read the text for me, though, and I can ask the much harder question of how is God providing for me today? And what is enough for me today? What is enough for us as a congregation today, this month, this year only, right? Not thinking, oh, but 5 years from now, I'm going to need something else. No, today, right? Because when we start thinking about other people, then we stop asking the hard question of ourselves. It's just easier to think about someone else, to something else that we can't control. We can control today for us, though. We can control how much we consume today. What is enough for us? It's a hard lesson to hold those things in tension, that God will provide what we need, and that we have to consider what is enough. Because in our world, we have more than enough, right? And so maybe the question is, how much of enough, what we see in front of us, is God providing for me? Just because I can reach out and take it doesn't mean that God provided it for me, right? And so there has to be some element of me saying, you know what, this is enough. And anything I can reach that's more than that, I'm going to give away. Because there's some reason why I could reach it, and I don't need it. But I can reach it. So that must be that God, oh, that was for the neighbor. Oh, well, let me help you gather this then and give that away, because it's more, I don't need it, right? I think we, like you guys said, we have the same fears the Israelites did, right? Some have a fear of changing directions like they did from the coast to the desert. We experience thirsts and hungers in our lives, maybe not physically, right? But we experience thirsts and hungers for peace in our daily lives. We thirst for companionship. We hunger for control. We thirst for rest from overwork. We hunger for clarity and understanding and thinking. So our question for us is, how is God providing? Where is the manna for today for you? What is that manna just for today? And that God would open our eyes to see all of the manna that's provided, and we would know how to take what we need, how to consume only what we need, and how to give away what we do not need. Amen. Would you